let's talk about Instagram. It has definitely been a source of income to many social media influencers, and a lot of YouTubers, for example, have an Instagram account where they leverage that when they proposed sponsorship packages for brands, where the brand will pay for their YouTube videos, but they will also pay to be promoted on Instagram as well. And as you remember at the end of the last video about YouTube, I mentioned that a lot of brands are kind of used to, are most familiar with YouTube. Well, they're secondly most familiar with Instagram. So it's also not that tough of the sale if you're dealing with a brand that would like to invest into a social media influencer campaign. But don't forget what I said about YouTube. You are a guest, and you're a guest here on Instagram as well. And there are some rules that you have to obey. They're once again not as clear. And I have noticed that it's actually easier to be kicked out of Instagram than it is from YouTube, even though you're not breaking any rules. Now, I don't want to actually mention this because I don't really want to spread the information about how it can be done. But I can tell you, I've seen people who've lost accounts because their competitors wanted to drive them out of business, and it wasn't really that hard. So just keep that in mind. But at the same time, what you can do is read their rules and obey by their rules. That is the most important part for anybody who wants to be on any social media platform that's not yours. Okay, so let's talk about this. First of all, as I mentioned, brands do sponsor Instagrammers. They are familiar with it. And a lot of times, the content that they want you to produce is much simpler to produce. There's less of reviews and back and forth, and usually contracts are not as long. So producing content for sponsors for Instagram is not that hard. Now, if you're promoting your own business, it's even easier. A lot of times people can simply document what they're already doing for their existing business if they're promoting it through their social media platforms, and that's your content. Of course, producing pictures is much easier than producing videos. And even if you are putting together videos on your feed, they're not that hard to produce because they're mainly 60-second videos. That's the limit for the feed. Now, of course, there is IGTV, which is kind of a whole different animal, and you can have your video started in your feed, and then once it reaches 60 seconds, people can move on to IGTV. There are also challenges there because it is filmed vertically and not horizontally. So a lot of times repurposing your content from YouTube is much harder because you do want to, even if you keep it in horizontal format, you still want to put some graphics on top and the bottom so it doesn't kind of look small and empty. So that's another way how you can produce content there. And again, it's just the quality does not have to be as good as on television and even on YouTube. And of course, the third one, and well, really fourth one, if you think about it, stories. Now, don't forget, stories are really only go mainly to your followers, but this is a great way to do a behind the scene type of give this type of information to your followers. A lot of them will love watching what you do with your feed, but at the same time they would expect you to consistently do stories of you even grabbing coffee or hanging out with your kids or whatever it might be. So that's a big deal. So Instagram is also kind of a full platform for short content, pictures and videos, long content with IGTV, but also behind the scene content. Now, behind the scene content, the stories are very, very simple to use. Make sure you learn how to use them and take full advantage to it. And they're just fun. They're just fun to do. So you can grow relatively fast on Instagram even now if you understand how to grow on Instagram. There are not as many people who offer their services and do advice about how to grow on Instagram, and Instagram still is changing. There are more changes to it than to its algorithm than there are changes to YouTube. But I guess that makes it even more exciting, right? Every time there's an algorithm change, that's an opportunity for a smaller Instagrammer to figure it out and get ahead of bigger Instagrammers. So don't always be upset when the algorithm changes, especially if you're a smaller social media influencer. All right. Once again, I'm ahead of myself. It just the ease of producing the content and getting into it is much faster. You can fill in your first 9 or 12 little squares for people to kind of look at your account saying, oh, this person already has content. You can do it within a couple of days. Now, it's not good to post all the time. But if you post a few times a day, not all at once, and you maybe post a video and then a couple of pictures and a story all together, you can really, really get things going, especially if you understand how hashtag your post. Always hashtag your post. That's pretty much the only search engine that there is out there for Instagram. And this is why YouTube is so superior to Instagram, is because there is a search engine there. There's a much better chance of being discovered, where on Instagram it is really just the hashtags. And hashtags are kind of preset keywords that are just kind of dumb keywords. It's either this string of characters or not. There is no suggestions there, because the Instagram works a little bit differently. Don't forget, they are owned by Facebook. So in Facebook, it's all about charging you money a lot of times to even reach your own followers. This is why I'm not a big fan of Facebook social media platforms, their group. But at the same time, if you play it right, you can definitely grow pretty fast even now. Now, one thing that I also don't like about Instagram is that the rates are much lower, obviously, because what we've talked about. The content is being displayed to viewers for a shorter period of time. It is harder to find it, and therefore people don't pay as much for, let's say, posting a picture on Instagram. Now, we all know that Kim Kardashian and many others get paid tens of thousands of dollars for one post, but don't forget, you're not Kim Kardashian. When you have your post being viewed by even 10,000 people, it's definitely not as valuable as having your video to be viewed by 10,000 people on YouTube. So I've actually paid some of the Instagrammers with over a million followers for one post, and paid no more than $40. I mean, if you have a million subscribers on YouTube and you want to be featured in a video, you will end up paying about a, I would say at least 200 or 300 times more. So again, it's a fun platform. You don't need much for it, right? All you need is your phone. You don't need really big equipment or whatever. Most of the phones nowadays take pretty good videos and pictures. Some of them are better than cameras that are out there that have been around for a few years. So you can start out like right now, like that, and go for a month or two and figure out, oh, am I doing well? Am I not doing well? And don't forget, we're still going to talk about different ways how you should be looking at the sources of making money, rather than just doing, this for fun. But so it's very important, and it's really easy. Instagram is easy to start, much easier than YouTube. So the barrier to entrance is very attractive. So that's Instagram. Don't forget that even if you don't choose this as your social media platform right now, to make sure just kind of go full force, this is a social media platform you should probably get on at some point, even if you pick YouTube or some other platform to make your main income out of. So that's Instagram.